Rap came from us. It started in the South Bronx. It started with conscious rappers. So to my brothers and sisters who are rappers, see, you're part of a scheme, but you don't realize you are an unwitting collaborator in a scheme that is to destroy you and your future.
Let's be very clear, I ain't here to drink beer, smoke weed, shoot the breeze and break bread with you. I'm only here to resurrect the living dead with you. Thought it was some kind of a game, I'm not playing with you. I got the Moorish warlords with Moroccan sharp swords, Ethiopians with white face camouflage, already disciplined and ready for that sabotage. You listen to Minaj? Word? You should kill yourself and everybody that you came with. Arrangements out of jurisdiction, no arraignment. My name gets mentioned through the ethers, through high frequency speakers. Certified 45, get in line. Make this revolution rap your favorite pastime. Make listening to Coon Tune your very last time. Last time he was CO and now he's gangstified. Pushing keys, catching bodies, man, somebody lied. I'd rather listen to that guy noise, levitate with fly boys, organize an army, bang dead prayers. Understand I'm not a missionary, just the devil's adversary. Extraordinary, compliment the feds. And most listening are subject to conditioning. They need a hook, something snappy just to pull them in. I truly sympathize, I hope this pretty singing satisfies. Now should we get back to business then? Separating gods from the nigga men, separating chicken heads from the heroines. They tell me constantly that I should change my content. You're just too conscious, maybe you should narrow in. Rhyme more about that street life heroin. Make it amplify, glorify the hell you're in. But where the hell you been? Clearly you don't know me then. Spit flame, ethanol, Jada Pinkett set it off. I gang bang on opposition till his head is off. His arm, leg, all nailed to a cross. You're not a mob boss, Florentini, Machiavelli. Closest you are to Italian is sauce and spaghetti. The flow is deadly, hip-hop jihad medley. They could tell I was a rebel the moment they met me. Gotta respect me, the 85ers wanna sex me. Occupied by the 5, still I let them sweat me. You can bet me, Phoenix if they try to dead me. And the Republic of Gorillas still ready to wreck me. I pull verses from my spleen for the have-nots who seem caught between the rocks and the hard spots. And most listening are subject to conditioning. They need a hook, something snappy just to pull them in. I truly sympathize, I hope this pretty singing satisfies. Now should we get back to business then? I'm not the only one can tell that something's going on. We hustle harder every day and barely holding on. These big banks getting breaks that will be gully on. And they'll freeze your assets, keep your scullies on. The same Babylon upgraded red bottom. And he was about that revolution till the feds got him. My man Scott got 3 to 5 for a bag of weed. But be a priest and rape boys walk scot-free. I bet you thinking that I'm kidding cause I'm throwing stones. It isn't me, it's ancient maces in my chromosomes. Impatient ancestors raging through my ribosomes. See scrolls translated through a microphone. The freedom banger, hanger, Margaret Sanger. Planned Parenthood in every hood would like to thank her. Bankers, Rockefeller, Bilderberg, Unicom, DuPont, IBM, UNICEF, and Viacom. My verbal firearm annihilate the infrastructure. Comedic lexicon, cause I don't speak the tongue of suckers. I born degrees of the royal pedigrees and leave it mean 16 in my afterbirth. Still, most listening are subject to conditioning. They need a hook, something snappy just to pull them in. Just West, not Ruby Selah.
All right, peace and blessings, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio, place for knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge Born a Lot, and we are here with a mastermind's mastermind, one who seeks to transform and to display us in the most and greatest likeness and light through the artful science of art and presentation to showcase our beauty, our talent, our love, and our commitment to excellence through the world of design, redesigning and redefining who we are and how we're perceived by the world on the inside and out. So it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some, present to others, a strong warrior in the redefinition and the reconstruction of our self-image, of our self-confidence, and our greatness. Our Empress, our Queen Mother, she came in here with a rule out today, so you understand. If I was you, I would, come into class quiet and take a seat. Okay. Dr. T, Empress
How
LàTifah
are you,
is
sir?
here
How are
in
you?
the building. All praises due to Allah for you being here.
All
I am
praises
thankful
due
to
to
you.
Allah. How are you, sir?
I am good, man. I am good,
All
mother.
praises due to Allah.
I know you're busy. I know you only got a little time, so you have to come
Yeah.
back for a part two because I want to know all about this fashion journey, fashion space, and I want to give you some time to curate that experience with us if you will allow me, ma'am,
Oh,
mother.
absolutely. I definitely will. A little bit under the weather today, but we're going to get it together.
Okay, okay, okay. So, I'm up here fishing. I'm writing this book and putting this documentary together. So, I'm putting out, calls online. And what was it about what you saw that made you say, "Oh, let me say something to this boy," because can't even say what this boy talking about over here.
Well, I read the question, and I'm always looking. One of the things I love about being a Black woman is that I'm a teacher by nature.
That's right.
So when I read the question, I've always wanted an opportunity to weigh on that question. Why do we still call each other niggas and bitches? And when I saw it, I chuckled at first because I was just like, man, this question I've been asked to death. How many times you gonna ask this question and ain't nobody gonna answer it? But then I said, well, given the question and it was brought to you into your forefront and so you could see it, and maybe it's time for you to answer it. So I wanted to weigh in because I know that it's a question that is daunting, and it's been daunting for so many years. Our people, and specifically have been asked this question from Generation X on down to Generation Z. We keep asking this question because, the old cats, as it were, we are considered the old cats now. I'm in my 50s, so that's a question that we've consistently asked when it came to why do we represent ourselves this way. Whenever I've asked a question, I've always gotten the answer of, well, it's a term of endearment. And at first I used to just let that, even though I didn't agree with the answer, I would just let that answer lie. But this felt like an opportunity to really just dive into the question and come up with an answer that everybody can understand from whatever point of view they're coming from. So I felt compelled to do so.
I'm thankful. I am thankful. Okay, I am thankful because they be arguing with me, trying to crucify me. I'm saying, the English language is one of deception, and why we letting them define us, and all of the angst, as if I ain't been alive long enough and been telling people since I was about 9 or 10 years old. I am not your N word. I am not nobody's N word. I'm not a young N word. I'm not a fake N word. I'm not a real N word. I am none of that. So I was encapsulated in that environment for, a good part of my life. You know,
Yes,
they'd
sir.
be like, they'd be like, "What's good, my N word?" I'd be like, "How much did you pay for me? You
Oh,
got your receipt? Did you
oh,
you bought me from a slave auction?"
oh.
Because that's where that comes from. Since about 9, 10 years old, they was like, "Oh, you looking too deep," and I'm like, "Nah, you're not looking deep enough."
Well,
So
that's one of the things about our people. We do not. One of the things that I have come to understand about the people of color in this country and all over the world, but it's specifically in America, we suffer from what is known as PTSD and Stockholm syndrome. We've gotten to the point where we no longer see the trauma we focus on the survival. And I'll say that again for the people in the back who didn't hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
We no longer look at the trauma, we focus on the survival. One of the things in psychology in college that I was taught, is that Stockholm Syndrome is the worst type of survival because it tricks your mind into thinking that you're no longer in a traumatic situation. It tricks you into thinking that you no longer are living in an abusive situation. It tricks you into thinking that everything around you has been normalized, and what you were going through then you're no longer going through now, which is simply not true. It's just another form of it. I like to tell people, when William Lynch wrote that letter that he wrote and wrote down the specifics of what we were going to face as a people for generations to come, he was not lying. We have been literally put into a mental state where everything around us has gone to sleep, and anyone that is, they use the term woke, but it's not woke because that makes absolutely sense. But anyone who has come to their senses and realizes that there's still trauma around them that they need to get through, these are the people that are forced, but by any means necessary, to go back into that trauma. What do I mean by that? When you think of the word bitch and you think of the word nigga, it's a title. It's a identifying word that identifies whatever it is that you're talking to or acknowledging in your presence. So if I'm calling a woman, the word bitch, I'm forcing her to see herself in that light because I'm literally acknowledging her as that word. Now, of course, she can fight me. She can be like, who you calling, da, 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 but at the same time, she still acknowledged it because she realized that I called her something that she didn't want to be called. So I still did what I wanted to do. Eventually, we got to the point as a people where it's saying, no, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So somehow, if I use the word bitch or nigga, but I put a whole bunch of roses around it, it's somehow better. The version, insanity is doing things over and over again, expecting a different result. And if we want to use that term with these two identifying words, we can use it simply as this. When our forefathers were slaves, they were called nigga bitches, niggas, nigga hoes, dogs, steers, bucks, all different type of animal names. They used to call a black man who was in breeding age a buck, like a bull, We don't go around calling each other, what's up, buck? We don't do that. Because in our minds, that's wrong. How you gonna call that man a buck? That's a bull. That's an animal. What do you mean? Well, that's the same thing as saying, how can you call a gentleman of African descent with 3 degrees, including a doctoral degree, a nigga? Because according to the Webster's Dictionary, the word nigga means ignorant or ill-intelligent. So he can't be ignorant, he can't be ill-intelligent if he has doctoral degrees and bachelor's degrees of this nature. Now, Same thing can be said for a bitch. A bitch is a female dog. Well, you not walking on four legs, are you? No, you got a hands and feet, right? Okay. Well, if that's the case, then if we're using these words as identifiers, then what are we identifying? We as a people, I think we just need to start embracing our trauma and getting past it so that we can stop taking on things that don't belong to us. Like my grandma Ola used to tell me, she was one of the most wisest women I've ever been blessed to even know. And she used to tell us when we went outside and we would be in other people's business, child, don't pick up pennies that don't belong to you. And I think that's our problem as a people. We continue to pick up pennies that don't belong to us and we hold on to them. And somehow in our minds rationalize why we pick them up and why we keep carrying them around, when in reality there is no rationalization for it. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we're going to continue to be, we may not be physical slaves, but we're going to tend to be mental and emotional and spiritual slaves until we stop taking on things that don't belong to us. It's simple, really.
Okay. So the space of Stockholm syndrome, because everybody is deep nowadays. You know, they're deep. They be like, "Oh, the slave trade didn't happen. We, uh, all of the stuff. They tell you everything. You understand what I'm saying? They don't have a problem. My conflict came in where they would say, "I'm not your brother. I'm not your sister."
How do you know that?
Right? They'll tell you that. They'll say, "I'm not your brother. Don't call me brother. I'm not your brother.
How do
I'm
you
not
know
your
that?
brother. I'm not your sister." You know, I,
How do you
I,
know that?
they have all of the conflict with the familial bond, with the royal bonds, and with the divine terms, but no problem with the plantation terms, none whatsoever.
And
You
that's
see what I'm saying?
absolutely true.
Like
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous on so many levels. You know, one of the things that I've been blessed to do as a fashion designer is take my love of history and genealogy and my love of the Black people, the Black experience, as it were. And I put experience in quotation marks because all of us have different experiences, but they all come up to the same thing.
right.
Um, I take that history and that culture and that experience and I put it on the runway in a form of which it is put on display in a matter in which a story can be told. I don't look at myself as a fashion designer. That is the title that the Association for Couture Designers gave me. I consider myself a storyteller and my medium is fabric.
Mm.
Um
I was in the front, but can you say that one more time for me? I was in the front. Can I have that as a Dr. T quotable?
I said I am not a fashion designer. A fashion designer is a term that is given to people who have studied this genre right here, by the Council of Fashion Designers of America. I entitle myself as a storyteller, and my medium is fabric. Um, I take our story as a people, whether it may be here in America, in Asia, India, or Asia, period, because before it became all of these different sectors and sections, it was just Asia. Um, and I show us. Um, And I show us in a form of which we can understand present day. Because you have to understand that our children now that are coming up now have no concept of the history and the culture that we were given back when we were kids. See, and the reason why I say that is because it's completely voluntary now. Back in our day, we in order for us to understand anything about us, we had to sit down and we had to grab them big old thick old books called Encyclopedia Britannicas, and we had to read. You know, we had to go look for the knowledge. But now, when you're in the information age and computers are so prevalent and everything is ran by artificial intelligence, they don't have to work anymore. They don't have to look. They don't have to study. They don't have to search for the knowledge. They get it wherever it's coming from, whether it may be true or false, whether it may be right or wrong. They just got it. It's there. And it's sad, really, because we've gotten so complacent with the way the world is moving that we forgot that we're not moving with it. We're not. Because while the world is moving and everyone else is getting in touch with them, their history and the culture and their understanding of who they are as a people, we're still panhandling, as it were. We're still asking for someone else to give us for the low price, 4 payments of $9.99. When in reality, how you gonna give God himself? That don't even make sense. But the problem is with that statement also is that if you don't know that you're a God, you can't give yourself. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to accept that that's who you are, it's impossible for you to be taught. It's impossible for you to want to go and get the understanding of why you don't use those words if you don't acclimate yourself to the fact that you're not those words in the first place. It's laziness. It's laziness, pure and simple. Why do we still call ourselves that? Because we're lazy. And I mean, that might ruffle somebody's feathers, it might make people want to tussle with the sister, but it's the truth. We lazy. Why would I want to figure out who I am as a person when I got somebody standing in front of me telling me that takes out what, years of me studying? Why would I care about learning my history when I got people in front of me telling me who I am? Thank you. Appreciate it. Didn't know that. Now I can go on and move on to something else. The problem is that they're not telling you who you are. They're telling you who they want you to be, who they classify you as. And if you don't know that that's not you, you can't say, no, that's not me. If you don't know that you're not a nigga, I can call you a nigga from 3 ways, some ways. You ain't gonna care. Because in your mind, that's what you are. Oh, no, they're not saying nigger. They're saying nigga. What's the difference? They're not saying bitch. They're going, bitch. What's the difference? It's still spelled the same. Oh, my bad. That's A-R, not E-R. Allah said, read to study thyself approved. If you don't read and you don't comprehend, everything is hidden from you. Because you're not trying to find it. Most people of color don't even understand that our history has been hidden from us in plain sight. It's literally in your face. slavery didn't happen. Really? Because I can prove that it did. Can you prove to me that it didn't? You want to say, well, they captured the Indians first. Absolutely, they did. But it's only so many of them. So what do you think? It's kind of like drugs. You're not going to start selling your own batch and then say, okay, well, fuck it, I'm through. You're going to go try to find more because this selling so good. So now you got to go try to find a different supply. So, of course, they went into Asia and discovered some shit that was already there. Right? Ooh, we got people on this here plane. Wow. What we gonna do with these? Then they give you information and words for you to believe and trust in what they're telling you is the truth. And I'm not saying all Europeans, I'm saying Europeans. If you decide that this was not your culture and not your history, ain't nothing I can do about that. But the nature and the historical facts point to that. So you can be mad all day. At the end of the day, it is what it is. And our problem as a people is that we lazy. We too lazy to fight for anything. So we stand up for everything. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about the same thing. And just today, she asked me, she said, well, why do you feel like we don't have nothing? I said, because we too self-entitled. And you know who else said that? A very important person in my life. He said, think about it this. We so focused on calling each other degenerate names, but if somebody else outside of us call us one, we ready to fight. Now, I asked the question, what's the difference between my color and the little Susie over there that called you the same thing? She called you a nigga too. Why are you ready to beat up on her, but you can't beat up on your friend Shalisa right next to you that just called you a bitch? I'm confused. We got to stop normalizing shit that ain't normal. It's not normal. And we need to stop it. Because this is what's holding us in this space. This is the chain that's wrapped around us to the point where we can't move. That's what it is. Do you know there's a certain steak, I forgot the name of it. But they call it an anaconda. Do you know that in order for it to kill its prey, it wraps around itself to the point where it squeezes it to death? We as a people don't even know that we're being squeezed to the point our brains are bulking out of our eyes. And we are living in a state of confusion. And it's a confusion and a demise of our own making. Which, by the way, was for some. William Lynch said that it was gonna become a day where they won't even have to do anything. Because we're gonna continue to do it ourselves. That day is here.
Sound like y'all cool, don't it?
I mean, we even tricking each other to say stuff like slavery didn't exist. What type of... Don't make me curse. What you mean it didn't? What? Now we telling each other that it didn't exist. Okay.
Yeah. Who benefits from that? Who benefits from that? You know?
We don't.
Right.
We don't went from those were, that had nothing to do with us. We're not doing it. We weren't even doing, we didn't hold people hostage. We weren't slave market trading. We weren't well, it didn't even happen. That's a new one. That's a new one, dear brother. I hadn't heard that.
It's whole movements dedicated to that out here. You know, whole movements.
What
We do have
movement?
I wouldn't even look. You keep on being great over there. I don't even worry about it. These folks out here, you know, doing what they're doing. We do have about a few minutes left, so if you
Okay.
had any final thoughts on the topic, I thank you, you know, for stopping what you was doing and spending some time with us. And I pray that you come back through.
I just want to say, I've been a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for over 26 years. Praise be to Allah. I have seen so much since 1998. I have experienced so many things. And we're going to get it together. We're going to get it together. It's just a matter of time.
Well, I thank you for coming on and sharing your jewels. And as I said, you know, I hope you get a part 2 because I definitely want to get into your journey.
Oh,
you know,
definitely. We can definitely do a part 2. I look forward to it.
When we have some more time to be able to.
Well, anytime after the first week of February, we good.
Okay.
Right now, I need to get myself together and ready to put this stuff on the runway and let these people walk around and show off what I can do. But I enjoyed it. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I'm going to get back to doing this. And our amazing, amazing. You keep doing what you're doing. I wish you much success and much luck on the book. And I'll be looking forward to reading it. So, yep.
All right, man. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Pain make the black fathers chain smoke. It starts to rain in the park, children playing on the swings. Marvin Gaye standing in his raincoat. Do you see demons in the flames? World made them go crazy till he seen the babies with the wings of an angel. They can't grow, it's painful. First off, rest in peace to Takeoff. His real name Kirchnick, Kyrie Ball. At the same time with Kanye, then Kyrie got involved. Oh wow, Kirchnick, Kyrie, then Kanye. Guess that's the modern day KKK.